So, what happens when a victim impact statement reads less like a plea for sympathy and more like a detective's case file? Well, we're about to find out. Today, we are breaking down a really unique document, one that strips away all emotion to present a case based on what its author claims is just pure, observable fact.
Right from the very first sentence, the author is drawing a line in the sand. This isn't a cry for help, it's the submission of a report. We're being told right up front to leave our assumptions about victim statements at the door and just focus on the evidence. It's a really deliberate choice. It's designed to grab a different kind of attention.
And just think about that for a second. Before we even get into the specifics of what happened, the author is laying out their methodology. They're not just telling us a story, they're trying to build a case for their own credibility, establishing their position as rational and objective from the get-go. And here it is, the core of their entire approach, stated as clearly as possible. This isn't about how they feel, it's about a process they've followed. The author is really pushing for us to see their conclusions as the end result of a rigorous, almost scientific investigation. This is the foundation for everything that follows. I mean, just look at these words: observation, verification, inquiry. This is the language of an investigator, right? It's not typically what you'd find in a victim impact statement. By framing it this way, the author is demanding to be taken seriously on an intellectual, analytical level. It makes it a lot harder for anyone to just dismiss their claims as, being purely emotional. And then they drop this key detail about their investigation. It was conducted in total isolation. Now, you might think that's a weakness, a point of vulnerability, but the author actually flips it and presents it as a strength. They're basically arguing that this isolation guarantees their findings are pure, that they're completely untainted by any outside opinions or pressure. Okay, so with that methodical framework firmly in place, the author finally gets to the heart of the matter. Now we're going to dive into the core accusations, which are aimed at a group they believe has been actively working against them. And notice the very specific language here. It's not just one person. It's a networked, organized, or at least complicit group. That wording is so intentional. It reframes the whole issue from a simple personal dispute into what the author sees as a systemic, coordinated action by a group working together to, in their words, extract value. This is where we really see the power dynamic at play, at least from the author's perspective. On one side, you have this unique, irreplaceable creation. On the other side, you have a group that, allegedly, can't even come close to replicating it or even understanding it. This really elevates the accusation from just theft to the violation of something deeply personal and singular. And then, after all this cool, detached analysis, bam, the tone just completely shifts. 3 short, sharp, powerful words: unacceptable, dangerous, insane. This isn't an observation anymore, it's a verdict. It's delivered with this incredible force, a judgment on what the author sees as a total failure of accountability. Now, the investigation pivots to a totally new line of evidence, and this one it's deeply personal. The author now turns to their own family's behavior as a way to back up their claims of a coordinated effort against them. 0. That is the number. That's how many family members the author claims have reached out, even though they supposedly had every chance to do so. In this document, that's not presented as a feeling of abandonment. It's presented as cold, hard data, a fact. So how does the author interpret this data point? Well, it's not seen as just a family falling out or simple neglect. In the cold logic of this statement, this complete and total silence is presented as proof of active, coordinated complicity. It's positioned as absolutely damning evidence. And from that broader accusation, the focus now sharpens down to the single most alarming claim in the entire document. It's this critical, unanswered question that is both really shocking and incredibly specific. This is the one statement that just stops you in your tracks. And the author is so careful with their words here, adding, that is not metaphor, that is reality. They are stating, as a matter of pure, verifiable fact, that they do not know the life or death status of their own mother. And to back up this shocking claim, the author lays out what they call documented evidence. They allege their mother's identity is actively being used, but that no one, not family, not authorities, has done anything to verify the situation. Each point is just another brick in this wall of evidence they're building. So after all this, what are the demands? They're actually as fundamental as the claims themselves. It's not about money, it's not even about apologies, it's just 3 things: truth, verification, and basic human contact.
3 things the author claims have been completely and deliberately denied to them. And that brings us to the very end of the statement, where the author circles all the way back to their opening point for one final, unwavering assertion of their position. This is just such a powerful, direct rejection of any other possible story. When the author says, "I am done being gaslit," they're essentially saying they refuse to be manipulated into questioning their own reality anymore. They're preemptively shutting down any attempt to frame this as a delusion, insisting that their evidence has to come before anyone's opinion of them. The statement ends with this powerful, rhythmic conclusion that brings the entire document full circle. The first declaration: this is not emotion. The second one dismisses any idea that this is just speculation or some kind of hypothesis. This is not theory. And the final word, a definitive, unambiguous conclusion, the author's ultimate truth, presented for the record as objective reality. This is fact. And that leaves us with a really profound question. This entire document is a deliberate rejection of an emotional appeal. So it forces us to ask, how are we supposed to respond to claims of harm when they're stripped of the very emotions we've been conditioned to expect? When a victim presents their case like a prosecutor, what does an adequate response even look like?